Your sprinting speed is not improving because of one or all of these three things. The first one ends up being the front side mechanics, what we're doing within the knees, what we're doing within the toes as we're coming forward. And then from this position, what we're doing as we're getting into foot strike. The second reason ends up being when you are on the ground or when you're striking the ground, just either not generating enough power into the ground or spending too long to be able to transition right back off. And the third one would just be the posture or the arm swing and just doing something there that's inefficient, that's making it so then you're not able to generate the most amount of power or have the fastest turnover. We're gonna go ahead and go into all three of those. If you don't know me, my name is Morey. I do sprint mechanics training for a wide variety of athletes, whether they're field sports, track and field, or even just people that are looking to improve their long distance and things like that, the general population, I guess you could say. And the first thing we want to go over is going to be the front side mechanics, because I see a lot of people, I think they have an understanding of what they want to be doing, but are not actually doing what they think they should be doing. And what I just recommend for you is, in the drills that I would recommend for you, is just going to be the A skip and the B skip, because those two things really make a big difference when it comes to being able to effectively get the front side mechanics necessary. And then when you're just doing any type of knee lift, any type of knee drive, you really want to be aware of what we're doing within the knee, within the toe, to make it so we can get into this position to then have effective extension. If you can't get to this position, right, if you're standing on one foot and you have a hard time just being able to lift up one knee, lift up one toe, maybe you're trying to round, maybe you're trying to lean back a lot, then you want to just be able to work on that, I would say, to make it so you could just get into the position necessary to have great front side mechanics. So just having the knee up and extending out and just working on that. I'll use bands and do different things with athletes to be able to help them just be able to get more comfortable with the effective front side mechanics. And then the A skips just work because it helps you in just being able to understand that we want to be very front side focused when you're running. We don't want to end up being too much back here. It really wants to be nice and upright, nice and tall, and getting into this position. And that's why marching is also a great thing to do, to make it so then you can get better within your sprinting speed. And obviously there are a lot of athletes that are already pretty good with the front side mechanics, and for that I would just say you want to be able to make sure that your foot strike ends up being corrected. When you're landing on the foot, what ends up happening, and it's a kind of a advanced concept here, I want to be able to provide the best information as I can. And so when your foot is hitting the ground in a open chain position, so your open chain is when your foot's off the ground, a closed chain is when your foot is on the ground. So the best position you could be in when your foot is hitting the ground is a pronated position, which basically means your foot is as flat as possible. If you can think about, if I'm really turning my knee or my foot inwards and downwards, that's kind of where your foot wants to be as it's striking the ground, because in that position, then you're setting yourself up to have the best absorption as possible. What a lot of people do is they'll be more in this position as their foot's hitting the ground, which makes it so then you'll absorb here, and this is a weaker, more unstable position. If you stand on one leg and you think about, okay, I'm gonna shift my weight inwards, it's gonna be really hard to hold yourself up there. But if you go the other way and you kind of keep yourself more on the outside part of the foot, you'll feel how you have a lot more balance on more of the outside part of the foot. Again, in comparison to the inside part of the foot, it's very difficult there. So similar thing when you're striking the ground, we want to be, very pronated or very neutral with the ankle, right, which is the natural position. When you really lift up your toe, you're going to be in that position already. Once you start turning your toe kind of out to the side and getting into a not great position within the ankle, that's when you end up landing here. As you're striking the ground, you also want to be active with the ankle. So you don't want to be striking the ground without there being any movement here. You want to be very specific with what you're doing out of the foot. So we'll see people that a lot of times they'll hit more like this, or they'll just won't have their foot up and they'll be landing more like this on the front part of the foot, because they understand you want to land on the toe. You do want to be landing on the toe. It's just that you want to get your foot up and then strike the ground to make it so then you could have the most amount of power into the ground. And that could just be another thing to work on. This is something I'll do with like the Raptor, with athletes, just kind of hold them to make it so they could really feel what to do with their foot as they're striking the ground, so then they can get optimum power, because you want to be landing on the front part of the foot, but you also want to be able to maintain the weight forward the best you can, which means that you want your weight to shift kind of and as slight as possible to the outside, so then we can right away transition, get your heels to be able to come up off the ground and then push off, because you don't want to get stuck with your heel down. Okay, when your heel's down, then that's going to impact the angle of the push off. The angle of the push off really wants to be the best that you can. Your knee wants to be right underneath the hip. You want to have that heel up, so then you're able to cycle right back up and through. The further back this is, the harder we're going to have to be able to cycle that leg all the way back and through. The more time it takes you to cycle the leg forward, then the slower you're going to go. The faster you can cycle your leg right back up underneath, then the faster you're going to be able to go. And that's why it's really important when you land, you want to be quick in being able to push right back off. The last thing is going to be the posture. So if we end up getting in a position where we're down, okay, and we're here, now we're not going to be able to get the same type of height out of the front side. Okay, so that's going to be the big thing with that spine angle. Now during the acceleration, it's not the same, because now we can be getting a little bit more outward, so that forward position may be better. But when you get to your top speed, you want to start to get upright, so then we can get here. And that's what we're talking about here mostly, is it's going to be your top speed position. So one, we got to make sure we're in a good spot with the spine, but we don't want to be so far leaned back that we also can't get the knees up, because if you're too far back, then we're also going to be out of control. So you have to be able to find that happy medium. I usually tell people it's about 85 to 80 degrees, right? So this is 90, just a slight lean is about where you want to be with the spine. And in the hand action, the best that we can, we want to be thinking about the hand getting right up to basically your cheek, right? And then from there, pulling back, and we want to feel it almost slide right past the side of your hips, and then pull as far back behind the hip as you can, or really trying to get that knee, or really trying to get that elbow up to the shoulder as we pull back. Okay, and now we just want to be able to control that and have that range where it's really as fast as you can, getting the thumb up so you can kind of like suck your thumb position, to then pulling all the way back, so then your thumb is now pointing back here, right? Because we'll see people that are too stuck with their wrists, right? And that's going to make it so then you can't generate as much power in the upper body. Okay, so you want to be able to have a good amount of active range within the wrist, the same way you want to have a lot of active range in the ankles. The two areas where people miss a lot when it comes to the joints that are maybe a little bit too stiff or too inactive are the ankle joints and the wrist joints. Because once you get here, now you can't get the full shoulder action. So now you can't get as much power. But when you get the full wrist movement, then you can get the full shoulder movement, which is going to make it so then you can effectively strike the ground. Same thing with the foot. If you're not getting the right range in the ankles, then you're not going to be able to generate the same amount of power, which is just going to make it so you can't run as fast. And this is the difference between people that are, you know, fairly fast and elite speed, or people that are just not able to understand how to be able to run. So I want to be able to kind of connect with a wide range of different athletes here to be able to understand just how to run correctly. And there's a lot of people that are just like average runners, you know, maybe running a 5K or a 10K or something like that, that could benefit a lot by just being able to better utilize their feet and their ankles when running, to make it so that they can better control the foot strike, which will take some of the pressure off their shins or take some of the pressures off the back or the hip. And so a lot of it just has to do with the mechanics, and then implementing the right drills with the mechanics to make it so you can be able to improve the speed. So I hope that ended up being very beneficial for you. If it was, you can click that thumbs up down below, subscribe to the channel. Also check out some of the things that we do for athletes when it comes to improving your own sprinting speed. I know I go in depth into a lot of different concepts here, but I think being able to understand the technique and how to implement the technique is important to be able to improve your speed long term. So check out some of the links below if interested, and we'll talk to you soon.